in a desperate attempt to produce yet more content that will be watched by, at best, 100 people, before YouTube goes back to deciding that what the world really wants to see is me mumble my way through a Roller Coaster Tycoon playthrough, I have decided to ask an important question. Is the infamously difficult 1930s car racing mission, from a game that's supposed to be about gangsters, a better depiction of the sport than a game which claims to be a dedicated racing simulation of the era? Oh yes, of course it is. Because for all you might complain about Mafia, the other game is, as you might have guessed from the intro, Spirit of Speed 1937. A game so bad, you wonder who let them publish this and 1,936 other titles in the same series, before finally deciding to call it a day. And yes, this is the level of humour we've finally sunk to. Why didn't I just make a channel that was a nice little vlog about instant noodles, eh? Let's start with Mafia. Mainly because I don't have my old save games to hand. And in order to get to the infamous car racing mission, Fairplay, I need to do an awful lot of taxi driving first. The thing to bear in mind as I grapple with these realistically slow and ponderous 1920s cars is that Mafia came out at a time when there was only one 3D Grand Theft Auto, which featured a non-speaking main character and blocky, simple graphics. There's a moment early on in Mafia where a character smokes a cigar, and this served as a statement of intent when I saw it for the first time, running with all the fidelity a GeForce MX200 could muster. This wasn't a glorious cartoon rampage. This was a game angling at the word cinematic. The kind of game where you need to spell something unidentifiable but sticky on your floor beforehand, and invite some teenagers round to play their ringtones during the best bits. A short pause here for you to remind me that no one under the age of 37 has ever had their phone set to anything but vibrate or silent, let alone spent hours typing in a ringtone using the numeric keypad. The thing that's hard to appreciate today, where map-mopping games with an enormous city are the default game genre, is how new all of this was, whether it was Grand Theft Auto 3 or Mafia. We'd barely got used to the idea of the 3D open-world third-person shooter, let alone what stories should be told in it, and how. Action games still frequently operated on a go here and do this for reasons basis, with only the thinnest excuses for plot. Which means Mafia had the misfortune to do a lot of things too early. Grand Theft Auto 4 did everything Mafia pioneered, from the more serious story, even down to sharing the same slow taxi driving start, to the vaguely realistic car physics, and at the time was rewarded both with critical acclaim and monstrous, shelf-emptying sales figures. But it did so in 2008, an era where players were used to games encompassing every genre, from stealth 'em up to racing game. Much as present-day gamers like to claim that the distant past was all about unforgiving difficulty curves, and even your gran suggesting you get good, up until the mid-2000s, it was entirely common for people who were otherwise very good at games to shamelessly confess to not being able to play the driving ones at all. Cars were confined to their own dedicated games, and if anything else needed to put you behind the wheel of one, it would do so via the time-honoured method of a cutscene or on-rails shooting level. Then along comes Mafia, where not only do you need to drive the cars in order to progress, you need to do it almost constantly. And they're cars which are hard to drive, with the simulation turned somewhere up toward the realistic end of the scale, which it might have gotten away with if it were a true open world, where players can abandon the storyline to fool around the city and do other stuff, when a tough driving-based mission blocks their progress. But despite the open city, Mafia is still a linear game in which every mission must be completed in order. And early in that game, it asks gamers who've never played a racing sim by choice to win a race. This is Mafia's infamous progress gate, the Grand Prix race. Mission 5, Fairplay. A mission that made everyone quit in frustration. Well, nearly everyone. I played a lot of racing games. I found it totally fine. Let's see if I can repeat that performance. Right, let's make this a proper challenge. Manual gears as well. Okay, off we go. So, to watch for, there's a car which just crashes at the start. And then all of the other cars are just chaos. Yes, it is very much from the cars which would rather ram you than overtake you. School of driving games, which makes this rather a challenge. It does say extreme difficulty. Yes, the reason that I'm doing this in extreme difficulty is I started out with a completely unpatched game, the one which was supposed to be utterly impossible. And by the end of the first lap, I was so far ahead of every other car that it was just ridiculous. There was no challenge at all. Basically, I was going to fill 7 minutes of video with me just driving around an empty road. So this... Ooh. Okay, slow down into this corner, because this one is quite tight. Little bit of a skid there. To watch these, because Mafia is a game that's old enough that car-to-car collisions do weird physics things. They do very strange things. You do not want a car-to-car collision happening. Okay, so extreme difficulty, I'm still out ahead, but this now, you have to watch this. Not as in you, the audience, have to watch this. Me as the driver has to be very careful. Because what happens is these cars will just ram you, and it's like you won't lose the race because you've been overtaken. You'll lose the race because you've got sort of automotively suplexed into a wall. Oh, this is going okay. Whoa. That's not going okay. Come on, car. Lots of power. More power. Okay, so turn in. Oh, Dudley's going to mock me so hard for my uselessness at racing games, despite my claimed proficiency. Awful gear change. Mash the gears. If you can't find it, just grind it. Oh. Now, that was me braking in the middle of a corner, which I should know better than. And the physics on this are sort of... clearly it's not sim level. That's clearly not the case. But they're quite nice. You know, they do things like, if you brake, the front of the car will just slide out. So you do have to brake kind of in a straight line. Why am I still in third? Ooh. Yes, you have to be careful coming out of that corner, because if you're too high a gear and you don't have the power to come out of the corner nicely, the other cars will catch you up, and then bad things will happen. They will crash into you, and it will be not very nice. But yes, as you may be able to guess from this, like, if you can drive, Mafia's race, even in its most difficult difficulty setting, providing you get a good start, is not really that hard. I hate to kind of take away the mystique of one of gaming's supposed to toughest missions. Oh, I'd suck at that corner. That's my challenge for this race. Is not the winning. That seems to be a bit of a foregone conclusion now. Although, hubris, and I'm quite slow out of that corner as well. Yes, it's not the winning, because it's clear that I can do that. That is possible. It's going to be just making that corner without spiking the car up into a... Whoa. Yes. So as I say, the physics are quite nice. They're not a sim. But in terms of it being sort of 2000, you know, there's dedicated racing games that this is nicer than. A little bit track limits there. Oh, it's all falling apart. Me having to do commentary. Come on, car. A bit more power. Oh, yeah, I could have gone faster through there. But yeah, I never had a problem really with any of Mafia's driving. The only thing which I really struggled with was the driving and shooting. But I'm awful at that. Every game where you have to drive and shoot at the same time, my main strategy is to hope that they simulate fuel economy and the other car runs out of fuel before I do, because I'm just terrible at it. Cannot do that for the life of me. But this racing, that I seem to be quite proficient at. Mafia's right. It's not really that difficult. It really is just people didn't play car games in the 2000s, and then this thing asked them to play a car game, and they went, why is it so difficult? You have to use the brakes. Ooh. Respecting track limits? No. None of that. That thing up there to the left, you can drive up that, and it looks like it's a shortcut, but the game will notice that you've cheated. So, no, you can't use it as a shortcut. But yeah, well, I had difficulty with the gunplay in this, but I have difficulty with the gunplay in pretty much every game, so that's a me problem, not a Mafia problem. But yeah, it drives really nicely for what it is. Oh, yes. There we go. Oh, that was sort of nice-ish. Yeah, you've got that nice thing. You brake and the front slips out. The rear can slide as well. Yeah, maybe it doesn't do kind of weight transfer or things like that, but it's nice enough. Whoa. Yes, let's style it out. That really wasn't a difficult challenge. I don't know why this is infamously difficult, because it clearly is not. What's the AI doing with that? Anyway, I think I've proved a point, and on with the rest of the video. Let us now turn our attention to the other game. The 1937th instalment in a long-running series of racing games, Spirit of Speed 1937. Okay, fine. For anyone who doesn't get that this is a joke, I'm wearing incredibly thin, this is a game set in a year. It's not very good. But better than Spirit of Speed 1937 BC, where you just push a stone over some logs and have a dedicated grunt key. The intro for Spirit of Speed 1937 AD immediately screams quality. The kind of quality where you can't be bothered to pay for some actual archive footage, so you record some video from the game engine and slap a filter over the top. And these are the things you can do. Have an unconvincing accident, do some wild skids, turn a corner, and drive some sort of motorised cigar case. And with that, we're in, with a menu system that could be kindly described as functional. But look, a cursory intro and simple menus are criticisms you could throw at Grand Prix Legends. And that's one of the most beloved historic racing games of all time. Spirit of Speed even has the same fake race programs before you get into a race. Could this be another one of those great racing games about years ending in 7? This is not going to be an illusion I can keep up, is it? Just look at this car, with massive chunky tyres, as if someone decided the main thing they did in racing in the 1930s was go off-road. Listen to the terrible sound. You know, before I've so much as touched a control, the physics are going to be, yeah. On the plus side, as someone who grew up within walking distance of the circuit, this bit of Brooklands is quite well modelled. Sadly, while the infield is all rather faithful, the game developers have missed out the big Tesco and the housing estate. But unless what titillates you in a game is accurate Byfleets, there's not much here to suggest this is going to be a promising experience. Still, let's try to find a track similar to the one in Mafia and have a race, just in case this does turn out to be a hidden gem. I mean, it did get ported to the Dreamcast. There must be a reason someone thought that was worth doing. It's not like they were so embarrassed by the game they claimed it was written by the long-defunct LJN or anything. Let's get this over with. As I am about to do something potentially hazardous to my health, I think PPE as required. Oh. Well, I was clearly wasting time doing that. Yeah. My challenge with this is just to get through this. It's not to have a good... Oh, no. No. Really? Why do I have to do this? Oh. Yeah, this is great. Let's just end. This is bad. So, just as I tried to narrate this, but every time I'm about to say something, just the badness of the game interrupts me. Oh, it's just... Why? Are they coded yellow? What? Yes. No. Can it be over now? Yeah, let's... I don't know why they're on fire. I don't know anything that's going on. Does it matter if I go over here? Oh, apparently it does. This is so bad. This is so utterly dreadful. So yes, as I was trying to say before the game assaulted me with rude awfulness. Ah, yeah, collision models. Why? Why did that happen? Yeah, there we go. Oh, how much more do I have to do this? Why is it... Slow, deep breaths. That's how we're going to get through this. Yeah, it's so realistic. Yes, as I keep trying to say before the game assaults me with yet another new level of awfulness. The controls are so bad that it actually has 2 accelerate buttons. So there's one which is your accelerate, and then there's one which is just mysteriously called accentuate, which appears to sometimes be necessary to accelerate, sometimes not, who knows. Spirit of Speed is a law unto itself. So... yes, sometimes accentuate makes a difference, and in fact is vital, otherwise your car won't accelerate quick enough. Other times, it makes no difference whatsoever, because Spirit of Speed, that's what this game is. It is shameful. It's... hurrah! With... oh... yes, needed. That's like, did no one think that maybe just accelerating at a useful amount rather than I'm trying to find a parking space versus I'm trying to do a burnout? This has brought me back down to earth after the Mafia victory, hasn't it? No. Why are you like this game? Why do you exist? I've played build engine FPSs which have felt more like driving a car. Oh, whoa. Why has the world suddenly just... I've entered the vibration dimension. I don't know why. Is this any better from another camera angle? Just... oh, no. Well, apparently... I want to end it, but I also want to finish it out of sheer bloody-mindedness. My ears are slipping off my head. I'm having a horrible time. This is Spirit of Speed, 1937. Why? Oh, that was sick drifts, bro. That's just so... oh, everything is an abomination. No, stop it. Stop oscillating. It's like he's some sort of dancing and... Why was this done? Who lost a bet? Ooh, flashing flag. That could mean anything. Oh no, I've slowed down apparently. After what? What? Why? Is this going to be over? Please say... yes! Oh, blessed relief. I never have to play that again. Uninstall it now. Spirit of Speed is not a very good game. So there we go. I played 2 games. I don't have a good conclusion for you. I'd put some effort into a good conclusion, but since I'm doing it for a platform where my video about Hard War doesn't show up in a search for... Hard War, I may as well go for any shuddering nonsense that fills the time. Spirit of Speed 1937 is not a good game. Mafia is a much better 1930s racing game, despite the fact that it is not even trying to be a 1930s racing game. Unfortunately, being a 1930s racing game did not go down well at the time. While the later patches added difficulty levels to make Fairplay more of a garden gate than a brick wall, even for hopeless drivers, Mafia never shook the reputation for being so unfair, so early on. One that still dogs the definitive edition today. It's worth noting that while Rockstar experimented with more realistic physics in the Grand Theft Auto series, they went back to cars which can corner without the slightest hint of brake usage. 5. And all races in the HD era have either made winning optional, or have been laughably easy for anybody who'd played a Gran Turismo or two. Now, anyone need a noodle recommendation?